16 weirdest things people try to take on planes. Illegal pet trading is an actual real problem worldwide. It makes sense that TSA confiscated this bag full of live eels in 2012 in Miami International Airport. In addition to the eels, the TSA also confiscated 163 tropical fish and 22 invertebrates. The animals were taken from the person and given to the United States Fish and Wildlife Service so that they could take care of them. It's probably a good thing that the TSA caught this because the animals probably would have died on board anyways. This scary little item was found by the TSA in Fort Lauderdale International Airport in a clay jar. The owners of the bags said that they had no idea that the skull was there because they had just purchased the jars. At any rate, the airport became a reluctant crime scene, which might suck for everyone involved, but probably happens every week. It's hard to imagine that the person who brought this in their bags believed that they could get away with it. Almost 100 pounds of anything is going to be super conspicuous, especially drugs. So it doesn't make sense that they thought they could get away with this. The massive load of weed was found in Phoenix, Arizona, which means that they might have been just trying to pull a Breaking Bad with weed. Also in Phoenix, which is different from the show as well. Now, this fact might come as a shock to some people, but batarangs still count as weapons, even if they are for pretend. This doesn't stop a surprising number of individuals attempting to bring the legendary superhero weapon on board. It happens so frequently that the TSA had to issue public message to leave these babies at home. They said to leave that as well as your grappling gun, collapsible bat sword, and other utility-belt items. We know that Comic-Con costumes are necessary, but this is still looked upon as a threat to national security. This sounds like the thing that Black Widow would try to take onto an airplane. TSA confiscated thousands of weapons like stun guns, pepper spray, and knives disguised as lipstick. That sounds like something an assassin would try to do. One of the more famous examples of this wild type of weapon concealment is when a lipstick knife was found along with a 4-ounce can of pepper spray. This also seems dangerous to carry on for the owner because there are lots of ways you could accidentally stab yourself in the mouth. When we say mace, we don't mean the spice or the pepper spray. We're talking about an old chained and spiked ball. The weapon was found in the Chicago Midway International Airport, and it almost would have made more sense if they had just tried to smuggle on a gun or a knife. They wouldn't have ended up on one of these lists, at least. Did you know that bear repellent is legal to take on board of an airplane as long as you follow certain guidelines? This person did not, apparently. This is another incident that happened in Phoenix, and it was confiscated because it both didn't meet the size guidelines and it had more than 2% of the active ingredient in it. It's hard to imagine anything else being all that effective against bears, or anything for that matter. Whoever was wearing this thing wasn't forced to remove it. It didn't violate any laws, and there's no real threat to security. So there was no reason to stop the lady who was wearing it. The metal undergarment was found by a scanner in 2012, and the TSA agents were forced to pull her aside for what was surely an incredibly awkward conversation. If rock, paper, scissors were ever needed in the situation, it would be that one. Once they were able to verify that it was what she said it was, she was free to go on her way, and the TSA agents were left with a weird story to tell. This seems like another weapon that an assassin would carry on, or James Bond. This concealed weapon was found at the Boston International Airport, and there was another one that was discovered at the St. Louis International Airport. This might be time to remind people to stop taking knives on planes. It's not allowed. How could they even think that it would be acceptable? Cocaine is not a secret ingredient. This just isn't something that you say that you thought would be cool. The passenger was found carrying 118 cookies, each stuffed with cocaine, which added up to 3 pounds, which has a street value of $52,000. The cocaine was found in the Newark airport in 2014, which isn't a surprise to anyone given New Jersey's reputation, of course. Weirder things have probably been smuggled into that particular airport. You can bring cookies on board of a plane, though, which probably shouldn't be weird, but it is somehow. Also, those cookies look disgusting. Betty Crocker would be ashamed of your smuggling technique. This explosive vest was almost brought on by an explosive instructor, and it was supposed to be a training tool. The vest was inert, but that didn't exactly matter to airport security. The vest, of course, raised a giant red flag amongst the employees, and it was removed before the instructor could board his plane. It's hard to imagine why he even needed this as a carry-on. What purpose did this serve? Were his students on a plane with him? Was he going to give them an impromptu lesson? This is one weird thing that worked. It probably shouldn't have, though. Service animals are a touchy subject for a lot of people. Some people think that the use of them should be limited. Others believe that they are being abused to get special treatment for their owners. There are hundreds of ways that service animals could be used, but it's hard to imagine what this turkey could serve. This picture was posted by a Reddit user who believed that the bird was a fraudulent service animal, even though it had said that the owner provided all the necessary paperwork. There is an entire industry of fake documents for service animals, so it makes sense that this argument would come up. Since then, the turkey has caused mixed reactions, but the general attitude has just been confusion. This Swiss Army knife on steroids was found on a man that was trying to board a plane in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The tool had about 9 blades, and it just looks threatening. We're not sure what he would ever need this for when boarding a plane, but he needed it for something. It was probably also nothing good. He didn't even have the excuse of being a knife instructor or something. The story behind this thing is that supposedly it was a gag gift for the passenger's retirement. The bomb was indeed just a prop, but it was still confiscated for obvious reasons. There's nothing like getting strip searched to celebrate your retirement. That's just the gift that keeps on giving. The fake bomb was discovered by an X-ray scanner in St. Petersburg. This isn't as sinister as it sounds. The heads were classified for medical research, and it normally wouldn't have been a problem, but the paperwork wasn't filled out correctly in this 2013 incident in Chicago. Shipments of body parts happen more than one would like to think about. Those research materials have to come from somewhere, we guess. However, because of the paperwork, the shipment was stopped and had to be investigated for legitimacy. It's hard to make a case for being scared about this because they are still transporting human heads either way. It doesn't matter what they will be used for. It's still creepy.
And now for number 1. But first, be sure to subscribe for new videos every day.
A surprising amount of people has tried to board planes with dead bodies. By surprising, we mean more than 0. Any number higher than that is astonishing. The most notable of these cases is a woman in Liverpool that tried to board a plane with her daughter and her dead husband. They put glasses on him and put him in a wheelchair like they had watched Weekend at Bernie's once too often. The staff apparently caught that the guy wasn't breathing, so the ruse didn't last long. The woman and her daughter insisted that they didn't know that he was dead and that he was alive when they arrived at the airport. But they were arrested when the coroner's report was conducted and they found out that he had died almost 12 hours before them arriving at the airport.